This is acting more like a joystick than a tie rod. Hi everyone, and welcome to Drive, Chris Capredoni, your source for automotive reviews, analysis, maintenance, and restorations. Please subscribe to our channel, watch the entire video, watch our other videos, and of course, click on notifications to be first to learn about new videos. I'm Chris Capredoni, and in this how-to DIY video, I will explain and demonstrate tie rod and replacement on a Buick Encore. This procedure is very similar to other GM vehicles as well as with other manufacturers. Tie rod should be replaced at the same time the lower control arm and ball joint is replaced in order to preserve like new handling and steering. In a previous video, I demonstrated how to replace control arms. Check out that video. I will explain how to properly install the tie rod end to ensure that you do not negatively affect the alignment. Let's set up and get going. The first step in replacing a worn out tie rod end is to untorque the lug nuts on your wheel, lift up the vehicle and properly secure it. And I'll show how I did that. And then remove the wheel. And here is the tie rod. Now, what makes a tie rod bad is the ball joint in here. Over time, just like with the control arm below it, the ball joints wear out and it creates a clunking and sloppy feeling with the suspension as well as with steering. So it's recommended that you do replace the control arm and the tie rod and at the same time to replace both those ball joints. As you can see, I've already replaced the control arm and now I'm tackling the tie rod. The first thing I want to do is I want to measure the amount of thread at the end there because I need to put on the tie rod in exactly the same spot in order not to mess up my alignment. So what I have is I have a stainless steel ruler and I'm just going to measure it. And the thread is exactly 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. So when I'm done, I need to be able to have that nut in the same position with the new tie rod. So the way I'll remove it is I'll be rotating it off and I'll count the number of revolutions so that I know exactly where I need to be. But I'll also measure as a countermeasure to double check to make sure that I'm in the same spot. So I'm going to get the tools I need. One of the tools is a ball joint remover, which I've used in my previous video with the removal of the control arm ball joint. I'll be using the same tool, but the first thing I'm going to be doing is lubricating that nut as well as the nut on the end of the ball joint stem so that they're easier to remove. Now the next step is I've set up my ratchet with an extender bar because I want to loosen the ball joint nut, not take it off, but loosen it, as well as the retaining nut there. I want both of them to be loosened, but not removed. So the first step is to loosen this one. Okay, that's loose. Next nut to be removed is the retaining nut on the actual tie rod thread. And this is a 21 millimeter open box wrench. Okay, so it's loose. I'll have to vice grip that in order to make sure that I can thread it up a bit. The 18 millimeter bolt has been removed and the 21 millimeter bolt has been loosened back a couple of revolutions to get it out of the way. So now the next step is for me to use the ball joint remover and slip it in where the ball joint is and hammer it in to force it to release and drop. So I'll set up and I'll get going on that. Okay, make sure to wear proper ear protection. This can get loud. Now with the ball joint separated from the steering knuckle, the next step is to actually remove the tie rod end. But what you do is, since this rotates on the thread, you want to count the number of revolutions until it actually detaches, because you're going to want to do the same in reverse. So say, for example, it's 15 revolutions to pull it off. You're going to want to do 15 revolutions to put it back on. So this is in the starting position. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's 15 revolutions to put the new one back on, and that will be the next step. So I just want to show you the old one just to show you how worn out it is. I'm barely putting any pressure on it. There's no resistance whatsoever. It feels kind of granular. The ball joint's worn out. Needed to be replaced. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and I'll have to do it up another half notch to be 15. So if you recall, I measured the amount of thread that was exposed, so I went back to check, and I'm at 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters, so I'm in the right spot. It just has to be torqued. I've installed the stem of the ball joint into the steering knuckle and just put the nut on. Now what I need to do is I need to press it into place before I start turning down the nut. So I've set up a little jack, and I'm just going to make sure it's in place. Okay, so a lot of weight is resting on the bottom of that ball joint, so I know that it's all the way in. The next step is for me to thread this nut down. Okay, the torque spec on this nut is 22 pound-feet, which is pretty minor, but I still have my torque wrench here set up, so I'm going to do that. And that's 22. And then a rotation of 130 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a magic mark here, and then 130 degrees over here, and then turn it with just a regular wrench, and that will be the full torque specking on that nut. So if you can see my marks, it has to go from here all the way to that mark right over there. I need to use my extension rod for this. A little more. Tiny bit more. And there you go. This bolt here has been tightened by hand, so it's nice and snug. So that's the complete job. Everything's been reinstalled. I'm going to remove the jack and put the wheel back on, torque it to the proper torque, which is 100 foot-pounds for this vehicle, and go take it for a little test drive, and then do the opposite side. Thanks for watching this comprehensive DIY tutorial on replacing the tie rod ends on a Buick Encore. We hope you found it informative. This procedure is very similar across different vehicles, both domestic and foreign. Suspension components over time wear out and need replacement to maintain proper handling and steering of your vehicle. Please remember to properly lift and secure your vehicle with wheel chocks and stands. Also wear proper eye and ear protection while performing any work on your vehicle. Use a ball joint remover tool as well as a properly calibrated torque wrench when tightening any nuts, fasteners that require a specific torque setting. Please subscribe to our channel, Drive Chris Capredoni, and watch our other informative videos as your source for vehicle reviews, analysis, maintenance, and restorations.